Hey, what's going on, guys? So today's question is, what do I pick? Saline or silicone for my implants? And spoiler alert, pick silicone. But why? So that's what this video is about. We're going to get into that in just a second. So we got saline implants and we got silicone implants. What's the difference between the two? The big difference is a saline implant is basically water. It's salt water inside of a shell that's actually made of silicone, versus a silicone implant is silicone cohesive gel. It's inside of a silicone shell. Say that times 5 times. Say that 5 times faster. So a lot of people get hung up on saline and silicone. A lot of patients come in because they're concerned about the possible harmful effects of silicone. Now, silicone has been found to be safe. The FDA did a long study. It was 10 years long, about 20 years ago, and they basically found that silicone implants weren't causing any disease processes or anything that they could find. For a period of time, silicone implants were taken off the market because of those concerns. The FDA said, hey, we're going to pull them off the market for cosmetic patients. We're still going to use them in reconstruction, and we're going to follow those patients and see if they develop any kind of issues. And basically they didn't. So they released silicone implants back on the market, and we've been using them pretty much ever since. I would say in my practice, I can't even remember last time I put in a saline implant. And most patients are coming in now wanting to switch out their saline implants that they had put in 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they want silicone now. So what's the big difference really between the two? So for me, silicone is going to give you the most realistic feeling and the most natural look to the augmentation. Silicone, got an implant right here, is made of a silicone shell. So the outside is a thin layer of silicone, and the inside is a cohesive gel. And what that means is if I cut this implant open, it doesn't just come pouring out. It actually will just, if I were to cut this right now, it would just stay as is. And I'm going to show a quick video right here where you can actually see where we've cut the implant open. And now we're holding it up and looking at it, and there's nothing coming out. The silicone stays intact. So it's basically what we call a gummy bear implant. Everybody asks about gummy bear implants. All silicone implants that we use now in the US essentially are gummy bear implants because they're made of a cohesive gel, which means they stay together. So if this implant ruptures, the silicone doesn't come leaking all over the place. It stays within the structure of the implant itself. So the concern with silicone was escaping, was getting into the tissues and causing all kinds of problems, which that was a problem 20, 30 years ago with the older style of implants, but we don't really see that as an issue now. Silicone just feels soft and squishy. It feels like what a brush should feel like. It doesn't tend to ripple much, so it stays pretty smooth on the outside, so you don't see any of those little ripples coming through the skin. And just all around, it's just a better implant. Now, if it does rupture, most people not even going to know. You're going to be walking around, you got a tiny little rupture in your implant, and you might find out when you get a mammogram, MRI, something like that. It's not going to hurt you, but if you do discover an implant rupture, it's recommended to go ahead and swap the implant out and put a nice fresh one in there. So I recommend silicone to everybody. Now, here's the deal with saline. Saline is, and this is not a saline implant, this is actually a saline sizer, but pretty much the same thing. The only difference is the saline implant would have a clear shell that you could actually see through. This is a sizer that has a little tube and port connected to it, and this is how the saline implants are filled up. They're put in collapsed, and then we actually fill them with water to the size that we want. So that is one advantage of these implants, is you can kind of pick an exact size versus the silicone implants come in kind of standard sizes. But basically, I mean, you can hear it, see it bouncing around. It's a water balloon. And it feels like a water balloon. It just feels kind of heavy and boggy, and doesn't feel really like a breast. And this one's a little deflated, but the big issue with these implants is you get the rippling, which is it's hard to show up in this camera because of it's not a translucent shell, but you get that scalloping or rippling around the edges. You lean forward like this, you can see that through the skin, sometimes over here on the outside of the breast, depending on the bathing suit you're wearing. So girls really don't like that. So that's a big disadvantage. The feel of it is a disadvantage. The other disadvantage is if this ruptures, your breast is gone, right? It's going to deflate within a matter of probably a couple of hours, maybe a day or so. The saline's going to leak out. The body's going to reabsorb it. It's not harmful or anything like that. You're just going to pee out that fluid, but your breast is going to deflate and you're going to be lopsided. And now you might have a week, 2 weeks, a month, who knows how long before you can get into your plastic surgeon, get on the schedule, get that implant taken out and get a new one put in. So that's kind of the disadvantage of the saline implants. And again, the big thing is people are concerned about safety of saline versus silicone, and they're worried about silicone potentially causing problems. This is still made of silicone. This entire shell that's wrapped around is silicone. So the silicone is still in contact with your body. So if you're of the concern that silicone is potentially causing medical problems or side effects, even though the data so far has shown it doesn't, it's still coming in contact with your body. So putting saline in isn't a good solution. So if you're someone who's coming in and you're like, oh, I'm scared of silicone, I don't want to put silicone in, then I would advise you don't put implants in, period. Stay away from breast implants. Maybe try a fat transfer, or live with what you got. There's a couple other different options out there that are a lot more invasive, but just stay away from implants, period. So that's kind of my spiel on saline versus silicone. Every single person walks in my office, I'm going to recommend silicone. If you don't want silicone, you really want saline, that is totally fine. I can put in a saline implant as long as you understand some of the drawbacks of it. Totally fine. We'll put that in. So hopefully that kind of helps a little bit with the difference between saline and silicone implants and helps you make a decision when you go in for your consultation. And if you got any more questions, you know where to find our YouTube channel. See you later.